So my car, she looks pretty beat up now. But she got me out of the last mission alive. So I had to improvise the repairs a bit here. Got some armored door, red armored door over here, red door. One tire still loose, but I don't have a mechanical kit. But that's the cool thing about this game. You constantly have to improvise and make the things better. So in this video, I'd like to show you how the traveling system works and how it relates to portals and Klim points. Okay, so first I'm going to go to the global map. And I've already pre-selected this point over here. And when the game starts, you only see the sectors around the garage. And the game always starts from the garage. So even no matter how far in the game, you always have to start from the garage. And to get back out to the garage, you always have to get enough Klim points in the mission, because you cannot put them in the car before the mission. Then activate a portal, and it will carry you back to the garage. So as you can see here, you got the normal roads and you got the thick roads. Those are highways. So since I already unlocked most sectors up to that point, if I want to go to that point, once I drive out of the garage, I can start in the next level. I can pick this one if I want to. Those are basically the shortcuts through the game. And the two most important points on this map are, you see the sector name over here, and the number 2 next to it. That means how many Klim points you can collect in that sector. It corresponds to what you see in this area on the map. Okay. See the red clock? It says none. That means how much time you have left until a heavy storm rolls in. And the bar below it is how many Klim points. You can see it says none, which means it's already in a permanent storm. So it's an extremely dangerous area. Go, for example, to say this area. There's a long time before a storm comes in because the clock is green. However, there's very few Klim points, only 1 Klim point. And yes, you can also end up in a situation where you have to get out of a sector that has no other exits anymore, and there's not enough Klim points to get you out of the place. Those are dead-end sectors sometimes. And they're usually called dead-end, you see here. I'm not sure if the dead-end is a permanent thing or if the dead-end shifts as the game basically progresses. Dead-end means you're stuck in that sector unless you do something specific, like activating 3 specific towers with the antennas to give you a new portal point. So the game always gives you a way to get out. However, it gets progressively really difficult. So a good strategy is when you start playing the game, let's say you want to go into a dangerous area up here, is to maybe travel to one easier sector on the way, collect 1 or 2 Klim points, so at least got some of them so you can, if something goes bad and you have to run, so you can activate a portal and get out. Because you don't want to get stuck in a really difficult sector and trying to collect Klim points, because sometimes the storms can roll in like almost suddenly. And then you have to improvise really quickly. Okay, now if you want to check how many Klim points you have, go over to this machine. Now, if you're very new to the game, don't worry, that stuff unlocks like after 1 or 2 hours of playing. You can see here, you got stable Klim points, 4.6, unstable, 2.2, and corrupt, 0. Those are different levels of Klim points. And the Klim points, they're used in the game to upgrade certain devices and unlock new research parts. And they're also the fuel to get out back to the garage. However, you actually don't lose any Klim points by opening a portal. I tested it. So for example, let's say you have, you start the game with 0 Klim points, you collect 3 Klim points in the mission, you get out of the portal, and let's say the portal needs 2 Klim points to even activate. When you get out, you get those 2 Klim points, and they will count over here. So you don't have to decide between getting out or keeping upgrade points. Okay, now I just exited the garage. Now you can see here, everything that's highlighted, that's in the proximity of the garage, I can go there right now. So I want to go to that point, I can't. First I have to access a point that's directly connected to the garage. Also, sometimes what can happen is on the long highways, you get an interrupt mission where you have to go through a randomly generated sector in between. Okay, now I've just made it through the highway. Now I'm at the end of the highway sector. Let's take a look at the map. When you open a map like that, if it's a travel through sector, which means it's not the final destination of where you clicked on the map, then you always get a yellow sign like that. And if you reach that point, then you get transported to the next sector. If anything should go wrong, and so you have to get out, you're too damaged, then you have to collect Klim points, and unless you didn't already collect enough, and activate a portal. And it tells you how much Klim points you need over here at the bottom of the screen. There's how much you got and how much is required still. Okay, I think it's showing you, if you have 1, it's going to show 1 over here, because you still need 1. Yeah. So on these yellow areas, those are Klim points. And a larger radius means it's a Klim point with more value. So a good strategy here is, before traveling into a more dangerous sector, as you get close to those Klim points, to collect them when it's easy. So at least you get some backup. Also, you cannot escape back. You can see here. So here, this is the arrival road symbol. It's actually, you cannot, it's only one way, you cannot get back in there. Okay, so I'm going to mark it over here. Also, you can also keep the map zoomed like that. I'm going to just show you one more tactic you can use when collecting Klim points. It's one of my favorite things in the game, that you actually don't have a map on your screen, it's actually a physical thing in your cockpit you have to look over to check where you are. Okay, so when you're going too close to Klim points, your first instinct might be to park your car right next to it to get the Klim point quickly into the car. Or I advise against that, because when you collect a Klim point, the game world around the Klim point basically springs a few traps for you. And it's easier to run away on foot from those traps than having to get your car out of it. Okay, so what I usually would like to do is I keep my car on the road. In this case, it's already really close to the road. I'm just going to drive it a bit away, like 50 to 100 meters is good. Going to park mode, I keep the engine running. Okay, I'm collecting it. Notice the thing is also emitting radiation, so you slowly lose health as you're carrying it. Depending on how difficult the map is, sometimes you get some really dangerous traps being spawned. Okay, this seems easy. You have to go to the passenger seat and hold left click. Don't forget to close the door manually. Now you can see here, charge required 0.9, 1.1, which means I earned 1.1 Klim from that point. So I made it to the destination level of where I picked at the beginning. And some players may wonder, what happens if you don't make it out? So if you don't make it out, then you respawn in the garage, your car will take serious damage, and you will lose material items, but you will keep tool items that you brought into the raid. Which means you keep repair kits, but you're going to lose like plastic items. However, you can lower that difficulty if you go to settings, gameplay. Here, realism. No, wait, it's on a difficulty. Failed run penalty, lose some items. That's the default setting. Now, I highly recommend keeping it on this is the highest difficulty setting. Keeping it like that, because the game doesn't work without it. Because if you don't fear not making it out with your car, then you won't engage in the preparation gameplay to prepare for different bad situations. So for example, let's say you're in a mission like that, everything goes wrong, and then you have to rely on what you brought into the mission. So I had a situation where it was like a storm triggered unexpectedly really quickly in the map. I had to rush to a Klim point and then rush to the portal. And what happened was that the map also had a modifier on that eats your fuel much faster than it normally would. And I only made it out because I put some fuel in the reserve tank, went back behind the car, which you can do over here. In case you don't know where it is, take your reserve tank out, and you can fill it like that. Or for example, it could happen that your battery dies because of the electric storm. And you have to go in here and you have to craft or keep one of those electrical shock items to restart the battery. And it's extremely rewarding if you plan for bad things, the game throws something at you, and you barely make it out just because you planned ahead. And if your difficulty is too low, then you never explore these types of situations.